This is Good Bones, a podcast where I try to figure... It doesn't matter anymore. This isn't a podcast. This is what my life has become. But you'll figure that out soon enough. Sheriff Whitley offered his hand and a seat by his desk. We had a long, boring exchange about the propriety of microphones. But in the end, he said,
"Go ahead then. I have nothing to hide but a buckskin and cold storage. Do you hunt, Mr. Atkins?"
No,
Me neither. But we all need our hobbies. I myself enjoy taxidermy. Probably doesn't surprise you.
I looked around the room at the deer heads on the walls and the mountain lion behind the sheriff, posed as if licking its paw. I said, "No, it doesn't."
Would you be surprised to learn that I don't like to hunt? One can still be an amateur taxidermist and never hunt a day in his life. They're quite different skills on the same branch of our great existence. I'm not talking the difference between aiming a gun and pulling a trigger versus preserving and stuffing and stitching. I'm talking taking away life versus giving life. You understand?
Sheriff Whitley gestured toward a taxidermy diorama, I guess would be the word, over on the wall to my left. It showed a fox crouching, teeth gnarled, a paw lifted as it stood within an inch of an unsuspecting rabbit.
Life can be dark, though, as I'm sure we both know. No use expounding now, not when you have your own little hobby to deal with. Assuming your podcast is an unpaid venture.
Yeah, but...
Oh, I know. I've sold a few pieces in my time. You can only have so many animals in your home without looking like a zoo. That's a direct quote from my wife.
I could imagine.
Could you? Could you also imagine why your brother would have so many books on the occult?
I sat there thinking about Joe, from our childhood together to his final days, eyes closed, seeing him trying to pull Angie from the wreckage. I can.
Me too. Like I said, we all need our hobbies. And I'm sure you know we have a few hobbyists of the sort around here. Have you gone into Zachariah's store yet? Just down the street. There's a decent business for an occult shop in little old Turnerville, PA. Hell, even my wife likes his essential oil selection, and she doesn't have a single bone in her body that isn't shaped like a cross.
That's funny. So you think all of Joe's books, that was just a hobby?
Well, yeah. Or his religion, which, let's face it, it's more of a hobby to most people than a guiding principle.
What if it was Joe's guiding principle?
Then he found a good place to buy real estate. Look, I'm not going to claim that this occult stuff makes any sense. But the folks I know who dabble in it are fine people. Good neighbors to have around, in fact. They got one eye to the heavens and one ear to the ground. So they can root out a weirdo better than the county's best interrogator. Which happens to be myself.
Did you interrogate anybody about this?
Concerning your brother Joe? Of course. Every resident in a 1,000-acre radius of where we found him.
How many residents would that make?
I don't know, 10? Mr. Atkins, I can't help but feel like you have some sort of problem with the way I conducted the investigation.
I imagine people don't come in with microphones if they think your investigations went well.
Listen, if this has anything to do with Lisa Kornacki, then I'm going to have to stop you right there.
No, who's Lisa Kornacki?
I'm either being played for a fool or being questioned by an amateur podcaster who doesn't do his due diligence. Listen, death is hard. I know. When you don't have good, clean answers that fit into your puzzle brain, it's harder. I know that too. Turnerville has fine soil for growing tall tales. But when they grow tall enough, they block out the sun and hide the truth below. I suggest you trim the hedge a bit, Mr. Atkins. Lower your expectations about what you'll learn around here. Ear to the ground only works if you know where the ground is. Leona! Sheriff? Please take Mr. Atkins to his brother's books. You can have them all. As far as I'm concerned, this case is closed. Your brother's death has only one answer, and natural causes is a fine one to go by.
Natural causes, unknown origin.
Don't get caught up on semantics, Mr. Atkins. Have a good day now.
What about Rufus Clayton throwing a rock through my brother's window?
Rufus Clayton threw a blind and deaf Rufus threw a rock through your brother's window.
Yeah, I saw with my own eyes.
Did he break the glass?
Yeah,
Then I suggest you take it up with his mama, like a good neighbor would, before telling the authorities the way a weirdo would. Thank you, Sheriff. This way, please. The books are in here.
I don't need the... I stopped just long enough to remember Joe's name on the inside cover. The notes in the margins. Yeah, okay. Thanks. Zachariah's Occult Shop. Says they're open. I see someone. Back of the store. Hello? I was just wondering if... What's that? I just have a few questions to ask you. But your sign says it's just a few... Well, I'll be back tomorrow then. And I'm the weirdo. Here we go. We have Rituals of Darkened Light, Blood of the Lamb, the Slaughter of Guilt and Innocence, the Five-Sided Value System, the Veiled Sorcerer, Achieving Inner Sight Through Magic, the Practical Druid's Guide to Seasons, A Spirit at the Table, Communing with the Afterlife, Living End Times, The Truth of American Folk Legends, These Haunted Hills, Witchcraft in Appalachia, The Miracle of Resurrection, The Hope of Different Gods, Mastering Incantations, Salted Earth, Curses Through Time, The Occult Bible, Past Life Present, Map of the Dead, Totem of the Dead Among Us, Foundational Lies, Functional Truths of Armageddon, The Bounty of Witchcraft, Of Oneself, Ritualistic Sacrifice in the Age of Social Media, The Fountain of Truth, Reclaiming Our Timeline Through Occult Practice, or get your degree. I mean, seriously. Oh yeah, and we have the Devlin, Pennsylvania. I say we start right there. Man, Joe was prolific. I mean, page 1, and there's already a note. He wrote, "Where am I going?" Okay. And that corresponds to this underlined sentence. They who travel through time in league with the forces of darkness have not but one to... Oh, God. This is going to be a laugh riot. How about I read this to myself and say something only when... I don't know. Okay, this is right here. It says, A mass grave discovered in Turnerville, Pennsylvania in 1937 remains the largest of its kind, dwarfing the second largest, discovered in Los Angeles, California in 1981. The LA mass grave was the resting place of 49 souls, whereas the Turnerville mass grave had a final tally of 137, ranging in age from 2 weeks to 91 years. In neither case was a perpetrator ever apprehended. That's a charming detail. Following the discovery of the Turnerville mass grave, most practitioners of the occult, as well as some Catholics, were forced out of the region. It was not until the end of World War II that the townspeople seemingly forgot about the events of the past, allowing for a mid-20th century renaissance of occult practitioners in Turnerville. Since then, there have been numerous cases of visitors to the region going missing. What was the name Sheriff Whitley said? If this has anything to do with Lisa... What's that sound? It sounds like someone's playing piano. Someone's out there playing. Oh, come on, why'd you stop? A voicemail, but my phone didn't even ring.
Hi, Dad, it's Lisa. I miss you. Call me sometime. I love you.
Looking back, I should have taken that as my cue to pack my things and go home immediately. Nothing good would come of staying, and answers are nothing compared to life's biggest mystery, which is
I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you.
I'd heard enough. I dropped my phone and so you see, I already wasn't in the right frame of mind. And to think it's gotten better over the past year is to be crazier than me. Don't you think, Sheriff Whitley?